Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to show you how to beat the new Dark Fluid mission 50% of the time, 100% of the time.
Crash.
Did you crash too?
Yep.
This really seems like the kind of mission that was tested on 2 builds, but don't get it twisted. We're here to lock in and go over how to consistently win every time you load into this disaster in a 4-man, and how to cheese it so you can ignore 99% of the broken mechanics that barely work and at least try to enjoy it. I also managed to do a few solo no death runs with this build, cheesing it like usual, so I'll probably go over some of those on stream later to try and teach you guys how you can solo it, but it's just me screaming at my monitor for an average of 30 minutes for the most part. Most of the clips from this video are from yesterday's stream and from those solos, so that's linked down below and timestamp for you already. And the build I was rocking was also posted in my Discord first, like usual. And right now we are lighting this off with the best build to lock in with. That way you can cheese this win for free. First off, armor is always 150 medium versus the bugs. This prevents you from taking a lot of random one-shots, mostly from Shriekers and the Hunters that are going to literally jump through the center of walls on this mission. I ended up learning basically how strong 150 armor can really be after using heavy armor as a training vest for the past 2 months to force me to stand and fight every situation, because you really can't run away with heavy armor. And I think that this 150 medium armor gives you the perfect balance of speed and tankiness versus the bugs, because it counters their cheese. You also want to try and take high ground as often as possible. That way when the hunters jump right through the walls, they end up giving you chest or limb shots, and you'll take substantially less damage than if they hit you in the head. And you can also leap backwards so that they force hit you in the legs, which will make you take even less damage. But a lot of the times they do just end up landing on your head. I know it's not realistic to always have high ground, but just do your best. And you should easily be able to kite when you need to, because the medium armor gives you that balance of speed and tankiness. As for primary weapons, though, the fire shotgun, hands down, just the best weapon for this, because the flappy boys at the end, and it makes the mission just more enjoyable considering how frustrating 99% of it is. But the Plasma Punisher is also goated for this and gets a ton of value if you want to AoE down the mobs after the drill is done drilling. It does get a ton of value the way that we'll be playing this. Your pistol also isn't really going to matter. I just use the Verdict because I think it's cool, so I take that. And the stun grenade is basically mandatory for one person with the supply backpack. This trivializes the entire thing and makes the only threat on the field Bile Titans, because you can perma-stun lock everything else on the map. As for strats, we lock in orbital EMS. They do desync out of this all the time and slide out of a lot and attack anyways, which is super cool, but it lasts for about 1/3 of the dark matter drill completion bar. When I was solo, I would just spam stuns to get to about the halfway point, hit the EMS, then spammed more stuns, and eventually just pulled through. The EMS mortar also helped out a little bit there, but it was super inconsistent. The main frustrating part of this is when they would break the drill anyways, because they would be attacking while stunned or EMS'd. We also followed this up with the precision strike for the big blast. You can tell I did this one too many times because of the confidence level I had with the throw here. Now, Precision Strike is mainly going to be used to remove Bile Titans. When it works the best, and it's extremely easy to use. If you see a Bile Titan coming of a hole, just toss it instantly and shoot the Bile Titan a few times with whatever gun you have. This will force the breath animation onto you and force that aggro onto you and make it stand still for a very long time. We also take eats for bonus Bile Titan removal. There really isn't a lot to be said here. These are just amazing for every mission you bring them to, and the more people that take them, the better it gets. It also works great with every backpack, including the dark fluid thing, and it's just nice when there's random eats sitting all over the place. So if you're alone or quick playing, just lock in eats with the supply backpack. If you're in a group, I recommend 2 people bring recoilless. That way you can do the team technology. It ends up trivializing any bile surges that you run into, and that's what we did for the most part on stream, and it just easy moded the mission. If you have people to play with, double recoils tech always going to be the strongest. Team loading makes these 4-man missions infinitely easier, and it's something you should be trying to do. And it's something I've been trying to get people in my community to do for a while. Usually I just take random people from chat, we go in and play. I'll hold your backpack, I'll make you take my supply pack, and I just feed you rockets so you can blast off and cook all the large lads. But I do know it's insanely hard to do, and on this map, it is frustrating when it bugs out. Main thing is, if you see someone else with the same weapon as your backpack, just try and team load them. It's always super worth it. Now, there are some other technologies that we do need to lock in here. The Dark Fluid backpack is basically a super jetpack and works how I think the normal one should. It honestly feels amazing. It goes super far and super high. And it also has a chance to randomly explode. So just be careful for that. But I kind of like that it has a chance to randomly explode. It's just that, showing me that I could have this really cool jetpack and how garbage mine is kind of just makes me Why? I want my jetpack to be this good. Now, we also do have to talk pretty heavily about the drills because they're made of paper. They die to literally everything, including gas strikes, AoE, and fire. So you can't really do damage to them at all. They're super squishy. Tesla towers and lightning shouldn't chain to them, kind of like how TCS work, but they are so buggy and squishy that I don't really think it's worth taking them. The only threat on the map is going to be those Bile Titans because you're able to keep everything else permanently stun locked for the entire duration of the drill. And if you do get overwhelmed by a Bile Titan surge, it's just going to be a decision to make sure you don't spam all your stuns off, that way you have the supplies to do it again. There's a lot of times where there will be only 1 or 2 Bile Titans spawn, and those are a lot easier to deal with, unless of course they pop in right on top of the drill. Then they'll either step on it and one-shot it, or die, and their body will fall on it and kill it. So if you see one pop in on top of it, just give up on that drill, clean it up, and just spawn another one and try again. We ended up just like slamming through these to the point where like it would just stop spawning Bile Titans after we called in so many. So like you can kind of brute force it. The enemies will also breach right on top of the drill and spam spawn on top of it. That's the main reason we are prioritizing the stun tech, is because this is insanely frustrating without it. But you can also position the drill near a wall, which usually helps out quite a bit. The breaches will try to prioritize not spawning near a wall. That way all of the enemies can come out of it. But again, it works half of the time. Sometimes they just breach right under it. Sometimes they breach in the wall and they spawn on top of the mountain. The entire thing's honestly a disaster. So again, that's why we're prioritize the stuns. They're super important. They make the mission feel way better, and you can just speed run it on cooldown. You also have the EMS mortar, again, as a free strat. Just make sure you're yeeting it on cooldown. It sometimes taunts enemies away. The Bile Titans can get taunted 2 turrets over the drill, so that can help a lot too, and you might as well just throw it down. It can also be super clutch and save the drills with that extra EMS if you do run out of stuns or die while you're trying to spam stuns. And the main thing I need to emphasize here is you never want to bring big AoE explosions that you can't perfectly control. 380, 120, Walking Barrage are all completely worthless on this map because RNG will just get the drill killed, and you also really don't want to take any Eagles here. A lot of time they just get hung up on walls and do nothing, or just completely miss, and the 500 kg bomb is so inconsistent, I might as well call it my stream schedule. Orbitals cover everything you will need, and you should be looking to take advantage of what works the best on the mission that tries to work against you the hardest. There are also 3 variants to this mission: light spam, bile artillery, and heavy armor. The easiest is light spam because you'll just see a million hunters, and bile artillery is basically just a back out angle because they delete the stupid drill from halfway across the map. Bile artillery was always a toss-up even on TCS, and this will be the one that bleeds out the most stims because the warriors will be exploding. And the small spitters will kill the drill 9 out of 10 times because they attack while stunned so often that it is absolutely crazy. Now, heavy armor is where you'll see the most Bile Titan surges, but the build should cover light and heavy spam. Now, at the end of the game, after all 3 drills are done, the floppy spam will start, and if you spray down to the sky with a fire shotgun, if they touch each other while on fire, it spreads to them, so they just keep dying, and that feels really good. And the 150 medium armor should also keep you alive when they fly into you. And if you have the sub pack, you can stim through pretty much everything, and even solo extract if you've got them hands. Now, how you should do this if you want to cheese is blow out the drills as fast as possible with the stun tech and the auto Bile Titan removal, and then die until your spawns are out and get into the next mission. Extracting is optional, and as a wise man once said, it is what it is. And as somebody who is all about solo no death runs, the amount of frustration I had with this just crashing out on me is unmatched. I lost more runs to the game just crashing than anything else. So it's safer just to end this as fast as you possibly can. Don't care about samples, don't care about extracting, just hit it and quit it. Trust me on this one, this is the best way to finish this. We consistently crashed at 7 minutes every single time when we were farming kills. We had this mission so under control in a group that like we were overwhelming the enemies super easily, and every single time somewhere with the 7-minute mark hit, the game just closed. Happened 4 times on stream. So that's also why I want to talk about how I feel about this mission, because it hit the mark in so many ways for me, and it really pissed me off in others. The big W for me on this is that it spawns a ton of dudes. It's super cinematic, and the aesthetic is top tier. The vibe of the mission is perfect. It's super cool. And that's why it's so frustrating to me that the map is so buggy. When you're playing solo, you can legit just run across the map and despawn half of the stuff, because if it steps into the hole or falls into the big hole or the super deep puddle, it's just gone. And the sliding mechanic is so frustrating that once it starts, you can't stop it no matter what. So sometimes you take it one step too far, you're in the hole. Another massive issue I had was just standing up. There were so many times that I was just stuck on the ground when there's no enemies on top of me, no enemies below me, anything like that. I just could not get up. And there's so many small lips and pebbles to trip over that you go for a 3-year tumble every single time you jump. And that just made the overall feeling of the map annoying instead of fun, cool, and interesting. And the paper drills just made me want to cheese them instead of trying to play it normally. It just turned something that could have been so cool into just garbage. And I know a lot of people like to super shield for the game and say skill issue every time something like this happens. I soloed it without dying multiple times. I also know people say soloing is easier than a group. On stream, we had so much control over it that we were farming for kills, trying to break our personal kill records. And then we just kept crashing, so we couldn't even do that. So this is just terribly done, in my opinion, and they need to try harder to make massive story-level events like this not feel so bad to play. The other missions on the planet also just feel really light on enemies, by the way. I know I'm a hard 1% that's been farming for kills and turned every mission into a horde defense. For like 2 months straight, we've been holding extract just to get more kills for fun. So maybe it's not like that for everyone. Maybe this is super overwhelming for some people, but for me, the super bug mega planet that's infested that we're trying to blow up with a black hole is just a meme instead of a serious threat. I thought that the egg missions would have a ludicrous amount of enemies, but it just feels like the same old to me, and that sucks because I was amped to log in and get in there and go for like 5k kills, but I just don't see it happening. Current CR 3725 with just a meme build that we locked in on stream the other night. Just let me know what you guys are thinking about this event planet, because I'm curious what everybody else is thinking. I've been reading and everything. I just want to see in the comments. And if you have any other bonus tips to cheese it and make it easier, please post them down below. I always do a pinned comment. I read all of them, and I just put all the best stuff in there, so that way we can just cheese this and hopefully enjoy it as much as possible, and hopefully win the order of all things. But that's gonna be all for now. I wish you guys the best of luck out there.